Hello, everyone, and welcome to Who Ate It First, a food history podcast with a twist. I'm Kendall Runquist.
And I'm Logan Runquist.
So,
Happy Tuesday.
happy Tuesday.
You're not halfway through the week, but you're almost there.
It's almost hump day. You can almost feel it. Camel is about to go around your office and say, "It's hump day."
Mike. 0.1% of our audience is going to remember that one.
Yeah. That's probably dating ourselves a little bit, but oh well.
That was a good
It was
commercial.
funny. Yeah, it was Geico.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's hump day.
Hump day?
Wow, anyway. Sorry it's not hump day yet, but you're almost there.
You're almost at hump day.
Hope you're having a good start to your week. I have some silly jokes for you.
I'm ready.
You ready for the cheese?
I'm ready for the cheese.
Good. What do you call a band of berries practicing music?
A band of berries. A berry good time?
I like it. It's a jam session.
Yeah, that's good. I like that one.
What did the real noodle call the fake noodle?
You're an impasta?
An impasta.
One for like 15.
You're
Oh,
one
yeah.
for 15. And why was the truffle in a rush?
I don't know why.
It was running chocolate.
Oh,
Instead of
nice.
Chocolate.
So what do you have for us today, Mrs. Runquist?
So yeah, it's my episode again. Just because we were having the finale be something fun Kendall's going to do.
Oh, yeah. Get ready, everybody. It's going to be sick.
Lord have mercy. He hasn't really told me everything that he's doing, so I'm a
Nope.
little scared.
It's a secret.
Oh boy. So for my last episode of season 1, I wanted to cover a dish from one of my favorite countries, Italy. I lived there for a bit and I loved it so much, but I wanted to do something besides homemade pasta. It's delicious, but we've done that quite a few times just for fun.
We could do that in our sleep.
Exactly. It's pretty simple. So I wanted to challenge myself in the kitchen. It's definitely a 2-person thing, so I'm going to need help. And so today we're making tiramisu.
Interesting.
And strap in, everybody. It's going to be a bumpy ride.
Oh boy. I don't have seatbelts on this dining room chair. Do I need to make some real quick?
Yes, fashion
Oh,
yourself
God.
a seatbelt with your
I'll
wires.
come back tomorrow. I do have a lot of wires here. Yeah, okay. I'm just going to strap myself in.
There you go. Okay.
Okay, I'm ready.
It reminds me in Harry Potter where he's like, it's going to be a bumpy ride. You know, from the night bus.
Uh-huh.
Anyway. Take it away, Ernie.
Take it away, Annie.
So, from the Italian words tirami and su, that translates to pick me up or cheer me up. And at its core is a coffee-flavored dessert made of ladyfingers, or the Italian word savoiardi, dipped in coffee or espresso, layered with a whipped mixture of eggs, sugar, mascarpone cheese, and flavored with cocoa, either there or on top or what have you. That's at its very core. The recipe has been adapted into many varieties of cakes, other desserts, affogatos, flavors of gelato, etc. And its origins are often disputed among Italian regions, of course.
Surprise, surprise.
Because we literally talk about nothing else other than the disputed histories of certain things. It's just funny. And so it's unclear also when the dessert was created because we can't really pinpoint exactly what region in Italy, but we definitely know Italy. We got that one.
At least we're that close.
At least we're there. We've got a continent and we've got a country. We're there. But for America, it seems to appear in American restaurants sometime in the 1980s. And at that time, takes the U.S. by storm and inundates every Italian restaurant from coast to coast. So, fun fact, Tiramisu is the 5th most recognized Italian word amongst Europeans and appears in the vocabulary of as many as 23 different languages.
Wow.
So lots of people know this recipe and know this word and know what this dessert is. A couple of different sources from my research today. I have Rivoreno Gelato website, and they have a lot of different shops all over Italy, so I felt it very important to talk about that one because they have a tiramisu flavored gelato. I also used on eater.com the article Mysterious Origins of Tiramisu, the dessert that took the 80s by storm, and National Geographic's Deconstructing Tiramisu, the coffee-infused Italian classic. Loving these titles and their specificity. So there are many legends around the history of tiramisu. The first has Tuscany as the birthplace and says that tiramisu was invented in Siena during a visit by the Grand Duke Cosimo de' Medici III. At the time, the dessert was called Zuppa del Duca, or the Duke's soup. The next legend is found in Turin, where it's said that this dessert was invented for the Count of Cavour and then arrived in Emilia-Romagna via a writer who described a similar recipe in his book, Kitchen Science and the Art of Eating Well, published in 1891. Although he used, instead of mascarpone cheese, it was butter. And in the source, The Origin of Tiramisu, Fact and Legend, on the academiaoftiramisu.com. Yes, that is a website. Tiramisu originated in Treviso in the 1800s. It's said that this dessert was invented by a clever maîtresse or madam of a house of pleasure in the center of Treviso. The madam who ran the premises developed this aphrodisiac dessert to offer to their customers at the...
Sorry.
It's okay. Get your giggles out. At the end of their evening in order to reinvigorate them after their little side excursion. And so they could return home to their wives. Take that how you will.
Did a very good job of turning those sentences into PG version.
Hey, that's good old academiaoftiramisu.com. When you go on there, you are getting nothing but professionalism and just a lovely way of phrasing things. That's what you get.
Yep.
That's what I always say. However, these attempted claims were either not considered credible or not considered fully truthful. So the real dispute arose between the regions of Veneto and Friuli Venezia Giulia. Veneto places the source of tiramisu at the end of the 1960s at the restaurant Le Bicchiere from an idea of a pastry chef to rework a typical Venetian dessert. And I had the name of it, took it out, didn't have time to learn how to pronounce that one, sorry. But it's a mixture of egg yolks whipped with sugar. And for another point to Veneto, they still host the annual Tiramisu World Cup baking competition for amateur chefs. So Friuli Venezia Giulia, on the other hand, posits that the tiramisu appeared at a hotel restaurant during the 1950s. And it's this latter story that has the upper hand. The Ministry of Agriculture and Food Resources has actually assigned the paternity of tiramisu to Friuli, adding the dessert to the Friulian list of PAT, which stands for Traditional Agri-Food Products in English. It's different in Italian. And also, they get a point because they have a handwritten recipe for tiramisu said to date back from 1959 as evidence that they got there first. But, as the Academia of Tiramisu says, as often happens in legends, there are various elements of truth. And tiramisu originates from Treviso in Italy. So you can see where the Academia of Tiramisu stands. They are very firm on the Treviso legend. So with all of that said, you can kind of take your pick of where it came from. It eventually made its way to the good old US of A. Again, we aren't really sure exactly how, but we can probably guess it came along in the pockets of Italian immigrants and spread that way. From a Nat Geo article, I loved this quote. Prudery over these salacious origins, referring to, as I mentioned, potentially coming from a brothel. It explains why the dessert has only started to appear on respectable menus relatively recently. So that kind of checks out. He's kind of saying that tiramisu was hidden away for a little while. He thinks that the Catholic culture that was kind of innately made in Italy kind of prevented the spread to menus in European countries. So I thought that was interesting.
I didn't know it was a more recent thing too, but I guess not.
It seems like these were made in people's homes, and it was a very much homemade thing in Italy, but really only, again, like I said, took the US by storm in the 80s. So there's a big gap of time where we don't really know what happened to it. And it could be because people were like, oh, we can't have that. That's a despicable dessert. Do you know where that came from? You know, salacious. Can't be eating that. Are you kidding? So anyway, Diego Zancani, an emeritus professor of medieval and modern languages at the University of Oxford, believes tiramisu hit a historical sweet spot. The 1980s were a great period of expansion of genuine Italian food abroad, he tells Nat Geo. Tiramisu became so iconic because it represented an enhanced, luscious version of an Italian classic, the humble gelato, maybe crossed with the Black Forest gâteau. It was really satisfying, versatile, and a nice pick-me-up that could be eaten as a dessert, but it would be an outstanding item at breakfast as well. And so I mentioned to Kendall, before I picked tiramisu, I had considered Black Forest gâteau because on Great British Baking Show, they always talk about how that is such a big flavor for British people and perhaps all Europeans. We don't have it as much here, but it is extremely popular over there. I would maybe liken the popularity to like a New York cheesecake. It's on lots of menus. It's a really popular flavor.
It's basically a chocolate cherry, right?
It's a chocolate cake with kirsch liqueur, which is cherry liqueur, and usually whole cherries in it, and it's sometimes topped with cream. Very luscious, very rich. It was often served at big parties in the 80s. One last quote I will read you. A classic tiramisu is a thing of beauty. You can now find great versions from Alaska to Australia, but the more people who get to enjoy this sweet, creamy dessert, the better, whether it's the original or a whole new interpretation. So, with that, I'll get into the other disputed aspect of tiramisu.
Oh boy.
Which is, you guessed it, the recipe itself. One site said the original recipe involves the use of very few ingredients, egg yolks and sugar combined together, with the addition of mascarpone cream and a drop of Marsala wine, giving us the classic tiramisu cream, which must be broken up by biscuits soaked in coffee to create the finished dessert. But the quintessential classic lends itself to many variations, both when it comes to ingredients and presentation. Sometimes panettone is used instead of ladyfingers, which is an Italian sweetbread. Other cheese mixtures are sometimes used. Some contains raw eggs. Others contain no eggs at all. Marsala wine can be added to the recipe. Other liqueurs can frequently be substituted, including dark rum, Madeira, port, brandy, Malibu, Irish cream, especially coffee-flavored liqueurs such as Tia Maria and Kahlua, and amaretto liqueurs are often used as well. All of that to say, lots of liberties can be taken with this recipe.
So basically, if it looks like tiramisu, it's tiramisu.
Exactly.
Who cares what's in it?
Exactly. So, yeah, it's just funny. People on the internet are like, it's not tiramisu if there's whipped cream in it. Well, some people like to top their tiramisu with whipped cream. You know, if it looks like a duck, quacks like a duck, it's a duck.
If it looks like a tiramisu, quacks like a tiramisu, it's a tiramisu.
Exactly. But, so I was going to ask your opinion. Do you like tiramisu?
Yes and no. I think it's a dessert that's good but gets boring quickly.
Mm.
So I can only have a little bit of it. And I think this is hearkening back to what we did on a previous podcast episode. It's a dessert that nowadays you can find at like every restaurant, and it's usually a pretty basic recipe. So it's not done professionally by a pastry chef. Like this is one of those things a la cheesecake, chocolate cake, creme brulee, tiramisu. Like it's at like every Italian restaurant you could possibly go to. And usually it's just like, because it's not done that well. It's something that can be put together relatively quickly and cheaply.
Mm-hmm.
So I think maybe a professionally made or a homemade tiramisu would probably be a lot better, and I probably like that a lot more. But I have not had that as far as I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it's kind of on the meh scale for me.
Mm-hmm. I'm so glad you said that because I notated that point down. I said in my notes that a lot of people say they don't like tiramisu. Sometimes it's a texture thing. Maybe they don't like strong espresso coffee flavors, etc., etc. But it's very polarizing, right? But I would say to those that don't like it, as you said, perhaps consider you haven't had a very good one. A lot of restaurants don't have pastry chefs, so desserts in the US are often mediocre at best, as you said.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, tiramisu is just one of those that kind of get lumped at the bottom of the menu. But all that to say, a lot of places don't make their ladyfingers from scratch, so line chefs can whip them up really quickly.
Right. Exactly. Yeah.
And so that doesn't mean that their tiramisu is necessarily good or even accurate to the Italian way, because they're just using the 4 components that I mentioned really quickly.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, you could buy store-bought ladyfingers, which taste gross, whipped cream, coffee, or liqueur, and chocolate powder, and boom, you have a tiramisu.
Exactly.
And it's a bad tiramisu, but it's still tiramisu that you can sell, you know?
Exactly. So all of that to say, perhaps you should try making it yourself, or at the very least, trying it at a restaurant with a confirmed pastry chef. That way you can rule out that maybe you're just at a place that serves mediocre desserts. Like no shade, but some shade, you know?
But a little shade.
A little shade. So speaking of making it yourself, let's jump into the kitchen and give this thing a try.
All right.
Andiamo!
Let's do it.
Ciao a tutti! Means hello, everybody.
Okay.
I didn't just say I
For your
tooted.
non-Italian speaking husband.
In case you thought I said I tooted, I did not.
Ciao, I tooted.
Today, we're using the recipe of Instagram star Batul Tunk. I'm sorry if I'm saying your name wrong, but her handle is, I'll say it and then I'll spell it, Turquoise Kitchen, or Turquaz Kitchen on Instagram or Facebook. And I wanted to talk about her today because her content is so beautiful. She's making a cookbook. I'm really excited to buy it. But if you've not heard of her, she's a Turkish mom who currently lives in, I think, Virginia. She started making food content and developing recipes on the internet starting in, I believe, 2017. And she has really blown up over the last few years due to her quaint, old-fashioned cooking style, beautifully executed recipes. Her videos all feature sort of old-timey kitchen gadgets. She wears a lot of linen. It feels very homey. It feels like you're transported every time you watch one of her videos. But I highly recommend taking a look at her Instagram or Facebook page. She has a great video of showing her making this tiramisu, and also mentions in the comments her tiramisu is a little different as she adds whipped cream to her mascarpone cheese, which is not traditional, but definitely tasty. So just a little disclaimer there that this isn't going to be authentic, true Italian tiramisu.
Well, as we've learned, what even is authentic?
True, but I felt so bad for her. The poor little lady, she had people coming for her in the comments saying, don't you add that whipped cream in there. That is not authentically Italian. And she was like, I never said that it was. I just said it was a variation and my family really likes it. So she's a mom.
Get off my back.
Exactly.
Dude.
And get off my back. She's a mom of, I think, at least one son. She might have more. She's only mentioned the one son. But anyway, so she's just killing the game. She's doing the mom thing. She's doing the internet content thing. She's incredible. Go watch her stuff. Thank you, Batul. We are making your recipe right now. We are making the ladyfingers from scratch. So, ingredients for the ladyfingers. You're going to have 4 eggs separated, 120 grams of granulated sugar, 120 grams of flour, 1 tablespoon of cornstarch, 1 teaspoon vanilla extract, and for the topping of your ladyfingers, optional, is powdered sugar. You can sift some on top if you want. For the mascarpone cream, you're going to have 4 egg yolks, 3/4 of a cup granulated sugar, 16 ounces of mascarpone cream at room temperature, 2 cups heavy whipping cream, and 1 teaspoon vanilla extract. For the tiramisu assembly itself, you're going to have 1 cup espresso, 1 teaspoon vanilla extract, 1 tablespoon granulated sugar, and 18 to 20 homemade ladyfingers. The recipe you mentioned above, I think, should make between that range. And for the topping of everything, you're going to want 2 tablespoons of cocoa powder. And again, making your ladyfingers is optional, but I'm going to read the instructions here since we are going to attempt to make our own. You're going to preheat your oven to 375 degrees Fahrenheit and line 2 baking sheets with parchment paper. In a large bowl, place the egg whites and beat until soft peaks form using an electric mixer. Then slowly add half the sugar and beat until stiff for 4 to 5 minutes and set aside. In another bowl, place your egg yolks and the remaining sugar and beat until pale and fluffy. Step 3, gently pour the egg mixture over the egg yolks and gently fold for a minute using a spatula. And add your vanilla and sift flour and cornstarch over the egg mixture and gently fold everything together until combined as shown. Again, she's referencing her video on either her Instagram or her Facebook page. And using a pastry bag with 1/2-inch piping tip, pipe out onto the baking sheet. Be sure to leave space between the cookies. See the video. Basically, in her video, she does 3 across and 3 down. So I think she put either 9 on each sheet and then added more.
Yeah. Whatever fits on your baking sheet, basically.
And sprinkle with powdered sugar and bake 12 to 15 minutes. Powdered sugar is optional if you don't have that. And then remove them from the oven and let them cool completely. While those are cooling, you're going to prepare your mascarpone filling. In a medium bowl, whisk the egg yolks and the sugar. Place the bowl on top of a small pan with simmering water and stir 7 to 8 minutes on low heat until the sugar has dissolved. Remove from the heat and let it cool at room temperature. In a different medium bowl, add your mascarpone and vanilla and beat together. Pour your egg mixture and gently whisk until just combined. In another medium bowl, beat cold heavy cream until stiff peaks form. Using a spatula, gently fold the whipped cream into the mascarpone mixture. And lastly, you're going to put everything together. In a small bowl, combine your coffee, vanilla, and sugar. You're going to dip each side of the ladyfingers in the coffee mixture, then place them into the bottom of a dish to create a layer. You can either use a pie tin or a cake tin, whatever sort of container you have. And over your layer of ladyfingers, you're going to pipe a layer of mascarpone cream. Then place another layer of your coffee-dipped ladyfingers over the cream, and then pipe a second layer of cream. Cover with plastic wrap and chill for at least 3 to 4 hours, or better yet, overnight. She put lovely little dollops of her extra cream on top and then dusted with cocoa powder. And then serve with love. So let's go make this thing.
Sounds good. I'm excited.
Boop, boop, boop. And we'll be ready for rave or roast in just a second.
All right. Off we go.
Boop, boop, boop.
I take it you enjoyed it.
That was delicious. Not to toot my own horn, but maybe one of the best things I've ever made. You helped me. So maybe one of the best things we've ever made.
Yeah, it turned out really good.
It was so good.
It was a little challenging.
Yeah, definitely difficult. Okay, so I'll go first. I would say I'm either a 9 out of 10 or a 9.5 out of 10. This was a great recipe. Batul is a great recipe creator. She makes lots of really great stuff, so I knew that this was going to be great. I've had some lackluster and mediocre tiramisus in my life, and this was honestly a really good one. I liked that it was much lighter than normal tiramisu. I think the addition of the whipped cream to the mascarpone was a great idea. I normally don't love mascarpone cheese. It's not my favorite texturally. It's not my favorite flavor-wise. It's really strange to me. I'm not really a cream cheese person, and that's really akin to a cream cheese. But I thought this was super good. And I think the only thing that would have bumped it to a 10 would be leaving the ladyfingers in there longer. In the espresso mixture. So many people on the internet were like, add Marsala wine to the espresso, otherwise it's not Italian. So I did that. Also, don't taste Marsala wine. That sucks. That's horrible. It's like port.
It's pretty sweet.
Oh, and I don't like port. It was not a good time. So essentially, we did half of the espresso that she said. Instead of a full cup, we did half a cup. And then I thought about doing half a cup of the Marsala, but I think I did a quarter just because I was like, wow, this is terrible tasting. When it was in the espresso kind of balanced it out. But I think...
Honestly, I don't think I tasted it once we were done with it. I just tasted the espresso.
Yeah. That's pretty standard. People on the internet were saying the addition of the alcohol is not to get you drunk. It's to enhance the flavor of the chocolate and cocoa powder and coffee flavors. Just there to pump it up.
Gotcha.
Not to get you drunk. Although some people are just like, yeah, put a lot of booze in there. Booze it up. Anyway, if that's what you want to do, that's chill. But I don't like it that way. But I think that would be the thing that would take it to a 10. Would soak it a little longer. And yeah. Maybe a little less cream at the top with the dollops. It was maybe a lot. Although I really liked it. I enjoyed it. Okay, your turn.
I would probably say for me an 8 out of 10 for a few reasons. First, I'll ding us because we had a technical hiccup with the mascarpone cream.
Whoops. Yeah, let's address that.
There's a step where she has you cook the egg yolks and sugar over a double boiler. Mm-hmm. And you're supposed to keep going until the sugar's melted. Mm-hmm. We did it for the length of time that she did, but it didn't melt all the way. I thought it was good enough. It was not, as I found out.
It did something really weird when we took it off the heat.
Well, what happened was it wasn't fully melted, so when it cooled down, it started to crystallize back into sugar. Yeah, so by the time it was room temperature, it looked like it was seized. So it was very crystallized egg and sugar. But I will say it ended up not mattering because by the time we put in the mascarpone cheese and the whipped cream, there was so many other components that I thought it was going to be at least a little grainy. It wasn't grainy at all.
Yeah.
I tasted nothing.
I didn't
Not
either.
a single grain of sugar. So I guess it kind of fixed itself when we did that. It ended up not mattering, which was, I don't know, kind of cool, I guess.
Yeah.
So I'll ding us a little bit for that. The other thing why I have it as an 8 out of 10 is because I'm kind of on the other side of the spectrum. As you know, I'm not a huge fan of airy desserts. Like I really don't like mousses that much. I like the animal mousses, but like chocolate mousse or what the heck are those macaroons?
You like macaroons?
Not macarons, but like macaroons, like the big
coconut macaroons?
Yeah, like coconut macaroons things.
Oh.
Like Yeah, I'm not a big fan of airy desserts. So like when I tasted the mascarpone cream before we put in the whipped cream, and I quite liked it. I thought it was very tasty. I was like, why are we still putting more stuff in this? It's good as it is.
Nope.
And then when we added the whipped cream, it was still good, but I felt like it lost too much of the thickness and flavor of the other components.
Mm.
It was still there. It was just a little too light for me. So I probably would have, if I put in any whipped cream, which I probably would have still, it would have been maybe like half of what we had done.
Mm-hmm.
Just because I personally don't like, meringues. That's another one. Like lemon meringue pie. I scrape the meringue off the lemon pies and
You're
just
so
eat
weird.
the lemon.
I love meringue.
I hate meringue.
I love it
so much. I think that drives my mom nuts, but I hate meringue. I've never liked it.
I wanted to make a pavlova. I considered doing pavlova for this, and I was like, there's no way Kendall will eat this with me.
I would taste it, but I probably wouldn't enjoy it.
And there's no way I'm going to eat a whole pavlova cake by myself. Batul makes one, 3 tiers.
Yeah.
And I was like, there's no way anyone
They're pretty.
is eating. They're gorgeous.
But yeah, I probably wouldn't enjoy it.
And delicious. I love chocolate mousse. I love airy desserts.
Yeah. So we do diverge in that. You like airy desserts a lot. I'm not a fan. I don't know if it's a texture thing or if it just feels like cheating to me that like you're getting less stuff because you're eating air essentially.
But
that
you
kind
don't
of annoys
feel
me too.
disgusting after.
Yeah, but I feel like I'm cheated.
You
So-
feel like, hey, I should really feel like crap now that I've had dessert.
like I had this whole thing, but most of it was air. Did I even have dessert or did I spend 20 minutes just gulping air?
Goofy.
So, yeah. So was it good? Yeah. And also I think like after a while, it still got a little boring for me, just like it does sometimes with restaurants. But I will say this was by far way better than any other restaurant tiramisu I've ever had.
And you said you liked it better on day 2 after the coffee had soaked more into the ladyfingers.
Yeah. So to give it away, we're recording this a little bit after this portion a little bit after we made it. So yes, the next day it was much better. I think the coffee had time to soak into the ladyfingers a little bit more. So there was much more coffee flavor, I felt like, the next day.
Yeah, I thought it was exponentially better the second day.
It was. I definitely agree. And I think she even mentioned that, right?
I mean, yeah, it says sit 3 to 4 hours or better yet, overnight.
Yeah. So if you're not super hankering for a tiramisu and you make this, I would actually definitely do that. Or just taste it when you make it and then taste it the next day and see what you think. But we definitely thought it was a lot better the next day.
Yeah. Just hold off on putting your cocoa powder on top. Stick everything in the fridge right before you're about to serve it to your party or your guests or whatever. Sprinkle that cocoa powder right before you serve it. Mm-hmm. And it'll be perfectly fine.
Yeah. Just don't be like Michael Scott when you're trying to talk while eating tiramisu, because that will not go bad. That will not go well.
I'm going to post that. I'm going to post that video. Kendall wanted to do the bit of, if any Office fans know, Michael Scott is on the phone trying to eat tiramisu. You can Google that scene if you want. But anyway.
Nobody probably knows it. It's probably a very niche specific scene, but I thought it was funny and I'm an Office nerd, so.
And he recreated it and I have a video of it and it is very funny. So I'll post that.
But yeah, I think that's it for me. All right. Well, I think that's going to wrap it up. So next week, the following Tuesday is going to be our season finale of season 1 of Who Ate It First.
Season finale.
So don't mean to keep teasing it, but I have something pretty fun planned. A dish I'm pretty excited about. So hope everyone's excited for the season finale.
Yeah. Happy, sad. I mean, we're sad to take a break, but we're also happy to take a break.
Yeah. Yeah. It'll be a good time to take a break and recharge and kind of plan out what we want to do next for the next season in October and get some of that going. So I just want to say thank you to everyone who's been listening. If you like what we've been doing, then as I said, we don't really market our podcast a lot. So anybody that listens to our podcast, the best way to help us out is either by leaving reviews on your preferred podcast platform. By far the best way is telling your friends and family about the podcast if you enjoy it and think it's something they would enjoy too. So I think that's going to wrap it up. I am Kendall Runquist.
And I'm Logan Runquist.
And also follow us on Instagram.
And also follow us on Instagram.
If you want to see that Michael Scott video and also all the behind scenes stuff that we post, it's all there.
And it's at Who Ate It First.
Yep. All right. That's going to wrap it up. It has been delicious.
And molto bene.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
Bye.
Bye.